The Spanish conquest in America shaped the identity of much of the New World. This is reflected in each of the 19 countries that have Spanish as their primary language in this region. But few know the true extent of the Spanish Empire in North America, where the Spanish presence even reached the coasts of Alaska. Stay with us so we can tell you the forgotten story of the Spanish attempt to conquer Canadian lands, which the Spanish Empire never saw come true. From the earliest days of Spanish colonization in America, the Crown claimed exclusive sovereignty over the entire western coast of the continent. So by the early 18th century, Spain controlled almost the entire Pacific coastline, from the southern tip up to the north of present-day Mexico. However, beyond latitude 43 degrees north, the lands remained shrouded in mystery. In Europe, there were stories circulating about a possible canal connecting the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans in the Northern Hemisphere. This passage, known as the Strait of Anian or the Northwest Passage, aroused the interest of the maritime powers. It was said that Spanish navigators like Juan de Fuca in 1592 and Bartolomé de Fonte in 1640. They had discovered routes that connected both oceans through secret channels and lakes. Although these stories lacked solid evidence, they fueled the interest in exploring the lands north of Spanish California. Meanwhile, Russia was moving eastward, exploring Siberia and reaching the Pacific coast. Between 1721 and 1742, the explorer Vitus Bering led expeditions that discovered the strait, which now bears his name, as well as the Aleutian Islands and part of Alaska. The Russians established posts for the fur trade, causing concern for Spain about a possible threat to its territorial claims. Alarmed by the Russian expansion, Spain decided to take action. From the naval base at San Blas in Mexico, Spain organized expeditions to explore and assert its sovereignty over the northern lands. Between 1774 and 1779, 3 key voyages sought to establish a Spanish presence and to find the mythical interoceanic passage. In 1774, a Spanish ship explored the coast between California and the entrance to Dixon, the current border between Alaska and Canada, reaching up to latitude 51 degrees north. Although bad weather prevented them from landing, in some places friendly contact was established with indigenous people who approached in canoes. In 1775, an expedition led by Bruno de Geseta and Juan Francisco de la Bodega y Cuadra sailed up to nearly 58 degrees latitude. They discovered parts of the coasts of California, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska, and faced dangers, including an attack on the coast of Washington, where 6 Spaniards lost their lives at the hands of local indigenous people. In 1779, Ignacio Arteaga and once again Bodega y Cuadra explored the coasts of Alaska, unsuccessfully searching for the legendary interoceanic passage. While Spain was conducting its explorations, the famous British explorer James Cook was mapping the northwest coast in 1778, leaving a lasting mark on the region's place names. The competition for control and knowledge of these lands increased tensions among the European powers. After 1779, Spain halted its explorations due to the war with Great Britain and its alliance with France and the American colonies fighting for independence. During this time, the Russians expanded their activities in Alaska, and British and American ships began trading on the northwest coast. They bought furs from the indigenous people and established a presence in territories that Spain considered its own. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you know when there's a new video. In 1788, concerned about the reports from Extranjera, Spain sent Esteban, José Martínez, and Gonzalo López de Haro to investigate. Although they found a Russian presence in Alaska, they did not find any settlements in Nootka. However, the British merchant John Meares had established a temporary base in Friendly Cove in the Nootka Sound, claiming to have bought land from the indigenous people. In 1789, Martinez returned to Nootka, establishing a Spanish fort and reaffirming Spanish sovereignty. Upon encountering British ships, including those of Meares, he detained some of them, accusing them of violating laws that prohibited foreigners from trading or settling without permission. This act triggered the so-called Nootka crisis, which threatened to spark a war between Spain and Great Britain. Great Britain demanded the return of the ships and compensation, arguing that its citizens had been unjustly dispossessed. Spain was willing to return the ships and pay compensation, but resisted recognizing British rights in the region. The negotiations were tense, and under the threat of armed conflict, the Nootka Convention was reached in 1790. The agreement stipulated the return of the sea ships, the payment of compensation, and allowed both nations to trade and navigate in the region without establishing permanent settlements. However, it did not completely resolve the territorial disputes, leaving ambiguous areas that would continue to be sources of friction. In 1792, the Spanish commander Bodega y Quadra met with the British captain George Vancouver in Nootka to resolve pending issues. Bodega y Quadra tried to limit the restitution to the small portions of land that Meares had used, while Vancouver sought full control of Nootka and Clayoquot. Despite negotiations, the parties did not reach a definitive agreement. Bodega y Quadra even offered to transfer parts of Nootka, including Spanish facilities, but Vancouver rejected the offer. Both decided to refer the matter to their governments, keeping Nootka under Spanish control temporarily. Meanwhile, Spain continued its explorations. José María Narváez explored the Strait of Juan de Fuca in 1789. Salvador Fidalgo and Manuel Quimper mapped the coast of Alaska and the strait in 1790. In 1791, Francisco, Elisa, and Narváez sailed the Georgia Channel, discovering new lands and deepening the knowledge of the region. In 1792, Alejandro Malaspina explored parts of Alaska in search of the mythical interoceanic passage. Jacinto Camaño sailed through the channels of the Queen Charlotte Archipelago. These efforts produced detailed and valuable maps that contributed to the geographic knowledge of the Northwest coast. Finally, the Convention of 1794 between Spain and Great Britain led to the dismantling of the Spanish settlement in Nootka. In 1795, Spain agreed to leave the area and allow shared use of the Nootka Strait without establishing permanent settlements. This withdrawal marked the end of the Spanish presence in the region. Tensions in Europe, the French Revolution, and the subsequent wars weakened Spain, which faced difficulties maintaining its overseas holdings. In 1819, Spain ceded all rights to the northwest coast to the United States. After gaining independence, Mexico accepted this renunciation, closing the chapter on Spanish aspirations in Nootka. Some Spaniards probably left descendants in the region, and several indigenous people were taken to Mexico or California integrating into those societies. The current toponymity of the coast between California and the Aleutian Islands preserves some names that recall the Spanish presence, although not all of them come directly from that period. The Nootka Strait is today a place of natural beauty and great historical significance, while Friendly Cove remains an indigenous reserve and there are monuments that recall the Spanish occupation. And that's all for today. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to this channel. I invite you to also turn on the notification bell so you'll know when there's a new video. See you soon.